Do you have a mirror in your house? Of course you do. It would be insane not to have one, right? How would you fix your hair in the morning or pop that angry red spot on your face? How would you wipe the tears streaming down your face? How would you prepare for the funeral? The nightmare began with me walking home from my dreary, repetitive job, where I worked with people I couldn't stand. I couldn't stop thinking about my wife all day, the woman that could brighten a winter's day with her smile, who could warm the coldest hearts. I thought about how badly I wanted to see her, so as usual, I sat at my desk, watching the clock slowly tick, counting every second. My relief at the conclusion of the workday was quickly undone, though, as I felt the vibration of my phone in my pocket. I looked at the caller ID, only to see an unexpected name. Why was Ashley calling me now? She was an old school friend who I hadn't really kept in touch with for a while. The last time I saw her was her father's funeral 2 years ago, which I had only went to out of obligation. I had never liked the man, with his angry demeanor and almost nihilistic attitude. I could still picture his old face, lined with the wrinkles of a hard life, frowning at me. Ash had taken his passing badly, so maybe she was going through another rough patch. I realized that it made sense she had chosen me to call. During the ceremony, I had given Ash some advice from my experience, and I think it had helped her. At least, I hope it did. It was still strange seeing that 2 years on she was calling me, but I answered nonetheless. Evan, I think there's someone in my apartment, Ash whispered desperately. Immediately panicked by the situation, I stammered out a response. You need to call the police. Right now, Ash. You're not safe there. I turned on my heels and began sprinting madly towards Ash's nearby apartment. Can you hear me, Ash? Call the police. Now! I gasped, feeling the effect sitting at a desk all day has on a person's stamina. No, I can't. They'll just barge in and he'll know I'm in here. I don't trust him like I'd trust you. You have to sneak in. Please, Evan, you have to, Ash said. I could hear her pleading and the dread she was feeling. It was clear. I knew that the police could handle it better, that they'd be able to save her, but I was 30 seconds away now, and I didn't want to have to wait for a responder to arrive. I reached the front door, trembling from both fear and the adrenaline pumping through my exhausted muscles. I hesitated before pushing down on the handle, wondering if this was a best course of action. My fear for Ash's safety overrode my sense, and I quietly entered the apartment. There was no intruder. I searched every room and found nobody. As I had my phone out to call Ash, I saw her pop her head around the closet. She must have hidden in it. Is he gone? She asked, tears welling in her red eyes. Ash, I answered. Are you sure someone was in here? There's no sign of a break-in, and nothing's been taken. Might have just been a noise that frightened you. No, she cried anxiously. I saw him. He was looking in the mirror and he was behind me, staring. He was old and he looked angry at me like he wanted to hurt me. You have to believe me. I didn't. She had various episodes in the time since I had met her 15 years ago. They usually were just bouts of passing paranoia. I believe you, I lied reassuringly. I have to go, Ash. But just lock your doors, and if you see anyone again, call the police and then me, alright? I did another thorough search of the apartment to ease her fears, and left her with a short hug and little words. My heartbeat finally calmed as I entered my little house, a 20-minute walk away from Ash's place. I locked the door behind me, Ash's paranoia seeping into my mind. As I sat eating the meager scraps of food I had from last week's groceries, I couldn't help but wonder about Ash and what she had seen. How could someone see something that isn't there? Why does our mind torture us with visions of terror? I pushed it out of my mind and quickly went to bed, not even looking at my phone before sliding underneath the covers. I needed a good night's sleep. I tossed and turned for hours before finally deciding that I wasn't going to get any sleep. I looked at my alarm clock to see that night had come, and it was close to morning by now. I dragged my tired, yet uncomprisingly awake body from my bed and headed towards the bathroom. In the bathroom, I began to relieve myself when I felt a bit of that day's lunch in my teeth. Being a strong advocate for dental hygiene, I grabbed my floss and looked in the mirror. That's when I saw her. The flowing blonde hair, her bright moss-colored eyes, but most of all, the smile that lit up the room. My wife looked perfect. She looked 20 again, with all the stress and troubles of the world seemingly forgotten. I found myself unable to stop my own smile spreading across my usually stern face. I'd missed her badly that day, just like every day. I wanted nothing more than to lie next to her all day, and she began to advance towards me with her arms outstretched, ready to embrace me from behind. Then the panic set in. I spun around, leaving out a quick gasp of confusion to see nothing behind me. I thought I had moved on. It had been 4 years, and I thought I could continue life without her. As they had lowered her body into the ground, she had a peaceful look about her. The contentment, almost. That had helped, knowing she was happy wherever she was. I had seen her, though. I had seen my wife, even though she was buried in the graveyard behind the church which we had gotten married in. I stumbled back to my bed, shaking badly. I didn't know if I was going crazy or if she had really been there. I picked up my phone to check the time, but before I could press the button to illuminate the screen, I saw her again, in the reflection of the dark void standing behind me. She was different this time. Where the beautiful woman I had loved should have been standing stood a grotesque impersonation. Her eyes were bulging out of her head, her hair a sickly gray. Her nose was gone, replaced by an open wound oozing pus and blood. Her smile, though, the smile which could make the world stop, was the worst part. It hadn't been disfigured at all. It was still human. But the once beautiful smile was replaced by a cruel, hateful smile of a sadistic entity. It reached towards me, slowly, slowly, ready to embrace me from behind. I threw my phone at the ground, breaking the screen and the vision at once. I had been so close the first time I saw her, so close to touching her again. Now, every time I pass a reflection, whether it's a window, a body of water, or a mirror, I see it. And every time I see it, it looks a little more like her again. I don't know how long I can hold out for, how long I can stay alone and scared, when I could just hold my wife one more time. That brings me to you, dear reader. I didn't see the reflection until it had brought to my attention. I want to warn you against it before you find out about it some other way, accidentally. So when you turn off your monitor, or your phone, or whatever you're reading this on, when you see the reflective black void, may you be strong enough not to embrace the person you miss the most just one more time.